What is going on, everyone? We have a new project going on this evening. I'm going to attempt to put a roof basket on top of the roof of this RedCat Gen 8 Scout 2. The roof basket that we are using is a Traxxas Defender, or TRX4 Defender roof basket, which is right here. Part number 8015 is the part number on this guy. Right around $12 US from A-Main Hobbies is where I ordered this from. We're gonna have to do some custom drilling on this thing here before we get started, so let's just go ahead and get it out of the package and see what we're working with. Alright, well, here is a peek at our roof basket. Two pieces. We have our main outer cage right here, the main basket portion that would be mounted to the roof of the truck. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is use a step bit on my drill, and I'm going to drill these little notches out. These are for the body posts on the back of a TRX4 Defender. So we're just going to use a step bit and drill these down so that it's completely flat is my main goal here. And for that, I'm going to use this big old step bit right here. And I'm just simply going to drill into this until that plastic ring is completely gone. There we go, there's one. And there's two. We are all good. That is all we need to do on that portion. Here we are, we have that all drilled out so it's nice and flat across the bottom of there. Purpose for removing those little notches was to make this sit, or allow this to sit a little bit flatter when it's on top of the roof. So when we eventually get it mounted up here on our truck, we're still going to need a spacer, or a few spacers, to take up the gap for the mounting screws on this. You're going to need 6 of those spacers. Here's what I generally use, are these little guys right here. And those are hard-coated aluminum shock end balls made by Yokohama, part number YS-6BH. YS-6BH. These were ordered from A-Main Hobbies as well. So you're going to need 6 of these little guys for spacers to get that to mount on there right. But before we get started on that, I can see just by looking at our roof rack here that it has a few little warps in it. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the upper half of the basket and see if we can get that to straighten out a little bit. Now, putting the roof basket together is relatively simple, pretty self-explanatory. We've got 12 screws here, many holes on our lower cage. Just a matter of attaching the upper part to it. So we'll go ahead and get this all screwed together. Pretty easy, common sense. And we're back. We have our roof basket all assembled, everything's screwed together. Our next step here, everyone, or at least this is what I usually do. If you notice at the back of these, a couple of these little mounts have a U shape to them. I'm going to be using an X-Acto knife and removing the flared ends off of this to make that flat. It's like that at the front of the rack, so it's meant to mount over top of a roll bar. There's another U-shaped one right here. Just going to shave that down so that's completely flat on top. Same on the other side. So we've got 2 here and 2 back here to shave down, and then the mounts at the rear are already flat. So no big deal on those. Just shaving down the front ones so they match up with the back ones. That way when we mount it on the roof, everything will be nice and even. We've got all these shaved down so they're about as flat as we're going to be able to get them for the moment. Kids, when it comes to this portion right here, have your parents do it. Like I said, I use an X-Acto knife to remove that extra plastic. You could actually use a stone grinding wheel if you wanted to grind it down a little bit. That would also work if you didn't want to use a razor knife. But kids, if you're going to be attempting this, just have your parents do that for you so you don't run the risk of cutting yourself or taking off a finger or something along those lines. So these are all cut flat. Next thing to do is to lay this up on the roof and mark it out for drilling the holes. Not only are we putting a roof basket on this truck, but we're also going to be installing a light bar on it as well. So part of my placement I have to take into account for the light bar and make sure that I leave enough room for this to be mounted as well. So right now I'm just trying to find a good location for the basket, making sure that it's not sticking in too far or hanging out too far on the back of the truck. Making sure that it's even from side to side on the truck, and also making sure that I have enough room up front to put on a light bar and still have it look relatively natural, you know, without a big gap in between the light bar and the roof rack. So that's what I'm working on right now, guys and gals, just trying to balance this out so it's sitting on there in just the right spot that everything looks copacetic. Since this is just a trial fit, first time I ever installed a Traxxas Defender roof rack onto a Gen 8 Scout, so not exactly an exact fit as far as rack for a model vehicle, Traxxas rack on a RedCat. I basically just laid it out there, got it as even as possible, eyeballing it, used a couple pieces of tape to hold it in place. So I basically just centered it left to right on the roof, centered it front to back on the roof, making sure that it's not overhanging, making sure that I have enough room to put a light bar on the front, and basically making sure that it's center for the most part on the vehicle and that everything looks copacetic. Reason for using a Traxxas plastic roof rack, well guys, I haven't seen any roof racks for the Gen 8 as of yet. Traxxas roof rack has been out for a while, that roof basket. It's plastic, super light, keeps down on the weight for going off-road. You know, it's not going to be as top-heavy having a plastic rack on the roof versus a metal one. So that is the reason that we're using plastic. So I basically have it where it needs to be. I'm just going to go ahead and spot in a couple holes with the drill a couple marker holes, get a couple screws in on it, and then finish drilling the rest of the stuff. Alrighty, so off camera, just went through with the drill, popped in our holes in all our required locations. We got one here, another one right here, all four corners in the back here, so we are all good to go with our holes. Just a matter of throwing some screws in here and getting this baby mounted up. Alrighty, we've got our holes all drilled out here for the roof rack itself or for the roof basket. Now it's time to do the fun part, find some screws and try to put this all together. Screws. I'm kind of screwed when it comes to screws here. I'm going into a Vetera Twin Hammers screw kit, using whatever I can find to make the distance. These little guys right here would be perfect, but they're coming up just a wee bit short. This one here is actually the size that I'm going to need, but I only have two of them. So on a hunt for screws here, but we'll see what we can do and try to get this rack in place here. Just added one more hole to it right here. This is going to be where the front of the basket mounts. This hole is going to be for the light bar, so I can run my power lead for my lights through the roof. And then when we have the roof basket sitting in place, just like so, that is going to put that hole right there, just out of the line of sight. So the wires should be hidden and you won't be able to see that hole. So that's just about perfect right there. Well, alrighty everyone, minus the screws, you know, once again, didn't have the correct screws that I needed for the job, so just used what I had at hand. Ended up having to use a couple of these long ones right here, just to finish out the job, just because the other ones, you know, this one is just about the right length, but needs just a little bit more on the end. A couple more threads would have been perfect, so something in between these two would be a good little mark. You know, something just in between those two would be perfect. But like I said, dipped into the old Vetera Twin Hammers screw kit just to get what I needed. Actual size of the screws, not too sure. Probably about a M3 24mm is probably about the right size for what you need, along with lock nuts. And let's not forget about these Yokomo hard-coated aluminum shock end balls. We're using those for spacers. YS6BH is our tag on that. And those are the spacers right there in between the rack and the roof. You can see that a little bit of daylight in between where we drilled out the bottom half of the rack to remove those little bits of plastic. And that baby is all installed. Screw screwed in, part of the truck, good to go, ready for the trail. And we got a little shot from the front here, making sure that it was center on the truck, which it is pretty much center as I can get it with my eyeballs. Not too bad. It definitely fits on there okay. The black adds a little bit of extra contrast to the body, which looks good. Next thing to do is to install our light bar on it. Guys, I ordered this light bar off of wish.com. Actually, my brother had ordered these off of wish.com, so if anybody needs a link to this for this light bar, you're gonna have to give me a minute. We need to dig it up and try to get that so it's available for everybody. I don't have that link personally available, but these are available on wish.com. Once again, brand name, it's really a no-name brand. There's no name on the box, it just says LED, ultra bright LED light bar, so made in China. So no name on the box, guys, but it was right around $20 US. It does have several different modes to it. You can plug it into the third channel on your receiver, and apparently you can use your radio to go through or to cycle through all the different modes on this light bar. But once again, right around $20 for this light bar. Not the best light bar in the world, not too water friendly either, so keep that in mind if you plan on going through a lot of water. These things really don't like water too much. You're probably better off with like a Proline light bar or a KC light bar or a Traxxas light bar or something like that. This one's, a decent light bar for $20, but not exactly water friendly, just to keep that in mind. Alright, so the light bar isn't on the truck yet. I'm just kind of eyeballing it up right now, seeing where I want to put it, trying to find the best position for it before I actually drill out the holes and pop it into place. So I think it'll probably look pretty good right there. I do have a little bit of room on here. I can move it forward if I wanted to, but I don't like having too much gap back here between the back of the light bar and the actual roof basket. But then again, you start pushing it too far back and it looks a little silly too. So got to find that happy medium in between too far forward and too far back. Need to get in that just right position, which is probably right about there, just in front of this pillar. So taking it up to the top of the pillar and right about there, so we leave a little bit of gap across the front, trying to maintain or stay on top of the flat portion of the roof, just before the curved portion. So probably be mounting it right about there. And there you have it, everyone. We have our LED light bar installed on the truck. It's not wired up currently. We have our wires running through the body into the underside of the body, and just need to hook that back up. A little peek at the underside here where we're looking at our screws for the roof basket and the screws for the light bar. That is the finished product right there. We've got our light bar on it. We have our Traxxas Defender roof basket on top. Looking pretty good so far. Light bar isn't wired up, but we don't have any LEDs in the truck yet. That's going to be the next project. Going to come up with our own LED kit for the Gen 8 here. So thanks for watching and hanging out for the build, and we will see you all in the next video.